Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the Bishop of the Burn, Nick, and I am not bringing you the show that I promised you today. So, unfortunately, our man Hank, who was spending the week at the Puro Sabor Festival down there in Nicaragua, well, Hank has come down with a bit of the international bug, whatever the hell that happens to be. He's got the funk, and it's not the good kind of funk. It's not the funky funk. It's a funky funk, all right. But anyway, Hank's not feeling great. So rather than record with him today and make him suffer through having to tell us about his trip while he's coughing up a lung and, sneezing and in general feeling like shit, we wish Hank all the best. Get well, recover, and I will talk to you after I get back from TPE. But today, we're doing an Ask the Pulpit episode because this is why I want you guys to call in and leave your messages, because I never know when something's going to go awry and I need a show. And these calls make for such a wonderful show. I enjoy these. But anyway, so today we're doing Ask the Pulpit. And first things first, we got to get a cigar going. And I am smoking because, I want something that I know I enjoy and everything else. It's like, you know what? I'm going for a Yagua. We've got a 2024 Yagua here. This is a 6x54 Toro featuring an Connecticut broadleaf USA wrapper over Nicaraguan binder and filler. And it is brought to you by the fine folks at JC Newman. And so it is time to cut the cigar, and the official cutting is brought to you by 2guyscigars.com. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. Two Guys have been around for 40 years, and they are the trusted name in the cigar industry. Everybody knows Two Guys, but if you don't, you need to give them a try. You won't be sorry. Family owned and operated, 2guyscigars.com does the very best to provide a great selection, fair prices, and excellent customer service. I don't know what else you could possibly want from a cigar website. So, guys, head on over to 2guyscigars.com for your next cigar purchase. Tell them that the Cigar Pulpit sent you. There's a little comment box on there. You can tell them that I sent you. And just remember, that's the number 2guyscigars.com. And with that, it's time to go ahead and cut the cigar. Boy, this is running smoothly today. I'm going to jinx myself here with that, but, hopefully not. Got a nice, good cut there on the old Yagua. And we'll give this guy the cold draw. Okay. Every once in a while, piece of tobacco. Every once in a while, you do something, and boy, you think you got something nailed. You think you got something down. You think you got something right down the middle. Like just a fastball right down the middle, right? And I would have told you, Yagua, it's a hayride. It's a little bit barnyard, hayride, whatever. And that's what I would have told you I got on the cold draw. But as I sit here and I do this cold draw, I might be nuts. Hopefully I'm not having a stroke. But I'm getting a very prominent, almost minty component to this cigar. There's like almost that like spearmint, kind of like the little zing of spearmint to this cigar that I haven't gotten from a Yagua before. So I don't know if there was a difference in the blend or what was going on with this one. But yeah, there's a zing. There's a little spearminty zing going on with this cigar that I have never gotten from a Yagua in the past. So, and I've got some older Yaguas sitting in there. I need to, that might be an experiment. I might fire one of those up after I get done recording and just sit out here privately and have one just to compare, because this is unusual. So Anyway, I am lighting my cigar, so it's time to go ahead and hear the greatest commercial you've ever heard.
Some say cigars are all the same. It's just not true. It's you I have to blame.
Well, I don't know, 'cause what I know, there is a cigar called Aladino Corojo.
Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. They say authentic, so we're not confused, while the others say it's a word that's just abused.
I guess that's so. They can't compete. At least I'm sure Aladino can't be beat.
Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Cigars uses authentic Corojo tobacco from JRE Tobacco. This is the greatest commercial you ever heard. Yeah.
Alrighty. So, we have fired up the Yagua here. I'm watching the little percentage on the front of my Shark air purifier go from a clean blue ring 99 to, at this point, a red ring 18%. That's what happens when you fire up a cigar near it. It just quickly just dives down. But I got that. I got the fan going in the window. I got my little buddy heater going on here. I am set. I am ready. I have a cigar. I am good. So you know what? Let's do this.
Shall we play a game?
You talking to me? I have a question for you.
You gotta ask me nicely.
Ask me about my winner!
You got a question? You ask the 8-ball.
Come on, sucker. Let's get it on.
All right, it's time for Ask the Pulpit. And this is where I listen to and comment on your various phone calls that you have left me. And we're just going to go ahead and get this thing rolling here with our first caller.
Hey, Nick, it's Dennis from the hinterlands, Western Canada calling.
What's up, Dennis?
Listening to you and Mr. Jonathan on the latest episode. Good luck to all the meatball makers. And just wanted to make a comment on your show with Mike Brinker there. Was that just a couple weeks ago? I live in a cigar desert as well, but I have found one brick and mortar. He's got some really good stuff. Just doesn't always have a lot of it. I don't know if that's because he doesn't want to put a lot on display, because it's not in a bad part of town, but there's some questionable people wandering around sometimes. So, yeah. Anyways, stay smoky, buddy. Talk to you later. Bye.
Appreciate the call, Dennis, and it sucks that you live in a cigar desert, and it sucks even more that you got a brick and mortar guy that it seems like he might be nervous about putting out some good stuff. I mean, you know, I've never understood somebody who thought that it would be a good idea to rob a cigar shop, you know, and you don't hear about that too often. I mean, I'm sure it happens periodically here now and then, but, you know, typically you hear about, you know, gas stations and various places and this and that nature, but like cigar shops, I would think those would be fairly low on the list for a couple of different reasons. First of all, you know, as most cigar shop retailers will tell you, I don't know how much cash is really flowing through a cigar shop. It's mostly debit and credit card transactions, and you know that doesn't really help an armed robber very much. But then the other thing is, at least in the cigar shops in my general area, I can't speak to this to every region of this fine country, but I would say that the majority of the cigar shops in my general area, it is safe to say that at any given time, anyone in that shop, be it from the retailer himself all the way down to one of the consumers sitting in the lounge, somebody is armed. Somebody is a concealed carry individual, and somebody is armed. Now, should they be armed? I mean, there are laws in various states about if a place serves alcohol, then they can't have a firearm, you know, within that establishment. That's a per state basis, and that's up to the individual who's carrying to know that and, you know, whatever. I mean, they might be illegally carrying even though they have the license. I don't know. That's none of my business. But my point is, I would think that at any given moment, if you walk into a cigar shop and there's a couple of people sitting around in the cigar lounge, in the loungy part, there's a good chance that there's a firearm in there. And that, if someone were to try and come in and do dirty deeds, I think some dirty deeds would be done to them. But just putting it out there. I'm not saying that. But, I find cigar shops to be a very safe place to feel. Anyway, yeah, good to hear from you, Dennis. And it looks like I heard from you again.
Hey, Nick, it's Dennis calling you back again. Just listening to the most recent episode with you and Cherry Chernobyl talking about your top 10 cigar picks there.
Oh.
Hey, I did have a question for you.
Okay.
Is it possible for a cigar not to burn hot enough and affect the flavor? The reason I ask, I just worked up the courage to smoke this second 7x70 Venus by Dominion, I believe. That's who it is. Anyways, it's a big sucker. The first one did me in, and I finally, like I say, worked up the courage to smoke this, but I've had to top it up with some flame a few times, and it tastes better each time I relight it, if you want to say that. So just curious on your thoughts about that. Also, I forgot to mention in my last call, I've smoked a few Fat Bottom Bettys that I found here at my local brick and mortar, and I love them. So there is hope in the cigar deserts of the world. Hope you guys are good. Stay healthy. I know I just got my ass kicked by a head and chest cold here, so I am happy to be smoking again. Take her easy, buddy. Bye.
Glad to hear you're doing well, Dennis. And yeah, shit, man, everybody and their brother has fallen with something around me. I mean, I have managed to, dodge my way around the ick, so far this year, knock on wood. But everybody I know has come down with something. And I don't think, at least a couple of them I know took COVID test. Oh, excuse me. And it's not this most recent round of COVID. So I don't know if it's flu. I don't know what it is. But, there's something going around. And by God, I've managed to avoid it. And I'm hoping that I can stay that way because I don't have the time or energy to get sick. As for whether or not a cigar can burn too softly and to the point that it will affect the taste, obviously, Dennis, that you can, a cigar can burn too hot and too cold. Too cold would be that it's right on the verge of going out, but it's not quite going out. But what tends to happen at that point is, you're taking a puff on my Yagua to make sure that it doesn't have it. What happens is you notice that the wrapper stops burning down, and maybe just the filler is turning to ash, and then when you ash it, you kind of have that concave, that's the thing. When you ash your cigar, if you have a spear, a point to it, then you're burning it too fast. You're puffing on it too fast, and what's happening is that filler tobacco can't burn at the rate that the equal rate as the binder and the filler, and so it kind of has that point. But if you do the other thing, if it burns the other way and it's burning too softly and too cool, what will happen is that filler tobacco will burn, but the wrapper and the binder obviously aren't, and so then you get the concave, the opposite. In an ideal world, when you ash, it just comes right off flat, and you're doing good. In terms of how that will affect the taste, where I find it affects the taste, and again, I'm not an expert. This is just me and my observations. Where I find that affects the taste is when I find that I've smoked it too slow, and I have that concave, and if I don't give it a little heat to relight it and get it going, it'll go out. That's when I hit it with the lighter, and sometimes you get that kind of burned char kind of taste from it, because you're relighting, spent burnt tobacco. And so you're getting kind of that burny kind of, so like I try to make sure I keep my cigar going as best I can. I don't like to relight. I don't like to touch up like that. It's one of those things. But if you're saying that the cigar got better as you hit it with the fire, then I don't know what to tell you. I will say that I have found that, let's say I set this cigar down and I go and do something and I'm gone for 2 hours and I come back and I'm like, I'm going to relight that. I want to smoke it again. When I relight it, I do find that cigars tend to be stronger. They tend to be spicier the second time around, especially if it's a Nicaraguan cigar. Perdomos, definitely. I don't even care which one it is. You set that thing down and you come back to it 2 hours later. Holy shit, it is a freaking pepper bomb when you come back. And I don't know what it is about the relighting process that triggers that, but it does. And so, anyway, that's just my observations, Dennis. I hope that answered your question a little bit. And it's always good to hear from you, buddy. So, moving on, we got another call here.
Hey, Nick, this is Danny. So I was calling because I know we keep talking about on episodes like building a cigar lounge. People keep talking about smoking. I wanted to throw in my my knowledge here. So
perfect.
Something that people forget a lot about is that smoke isn't like a gas. It's a particle. So you got all these chunks of stuff, and they're kind of heavy in the air floating around. That's where a lot of the odor actually comes from. So I know when people are putting in these small fans and they're pulling some air, but they're not moving it. And a lot of people are always worried about making things smell. Getting enough airflow to pull the particle is the key. So the problem with that is you're either going to need a really big fan moving a lot of air, like a ton of air, enough where it's either too loud or too uncomfortable, or going back to the whole tent idea. At least one idea that people can use is they sell these storage tents. And these things are meant to have like a bike. It's like a pop-up shed, like under $100. These things will let all the smoke particles kind of sit on them. You can set it up in like an attic or a room or something. They have a little vent that you can pipe the air out of. So you can put a little fan in there, run a ductwork outside of a window. That'll keep it less smoky for everybody. And it'll let you smoke indoors where it's warm. And then, you can't really clean it, but at under $100, you can always just toss the tent when you're ready for it. So anyways, I know it keeps coming up a lot. Thought I'd add what I know. So stay safe and stay smoky.
I appreciate the input. That's good information. And, I've always heard that the stench, that comes along, in a area that you smoke in, if you don't clean the ashtrays out and you let that ash sit there, and also the ash particulate, when the ash gets on the carpet or the seats or whatever it is, that's what tends to make the stench or the odor in the air. And that kind of goes back to what you're saying, but it's a little bit even more so. But that's interesting. That's good to know. I mean, I've got my little window fan here. It's not very big. It's not very strong. However, I am sitting, 3 feet at most maybe from it. And I watch the smoke, from this come up and pull towards the window. So that's nice. I've got that going on. And then obviously my air purifier here. The combination has helped. I've had, folks over and where they commented before and said, yeah, you can tell you smoke out here. The combination of the two has definitely helped with that. It's, again, still not ideal, but I'll say this. I'm enjoying my garage a hell of a lot more than the tent, purely because it's just bigger and more open. The tent was warmer. I'll give it that. The tent definitely was warmer, but the garage has been a very pleasant place to to sit and chill out and relax. So anyway, thank you, Danny, for the call. Good information. And, guys, look into those tents if you're looking for something that maybe you can smoke in. I mean, we've still got a little bit of time where it's going to be too damn cold to sit outside. I mean, right now, I think today in my area, high of maybe like 40-something. Of course, I'm getting ready to go to TPE, tomorrow. And, Vegas is going to be in the high 50s. So it's maybe 10 degrees warmer than where I'm at right now. But, man, that 10 degrees just sounds so nice. So nice. But anyway, moving on. We got more calls here. Let's go ahead and listen to this one.
Hey, Nick. What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
Good, sir. This is Dakota calling back. I finally got into my new house. So
congratulations.
Yeah. But no, first let me address the shout out that you gave me on the episode that I just heard. So yes, now about the Remington, I didn't know you were actually going to add it. I just kind of I literally put it as a side note, as kind of a joke, but they don't really have a font for that. So I guess you added, and I'll know that for next year. I will not do that because I feel like I kind of brought down the validity of the list. However, I would have voted that one Remington as the best cigar. But come on now, the cigar of the year's got to be consistent. And of all the ones that I smoked, which was 6, 8, something like that, one was the second worst I ever smoked. And one was one of the best. I mean, it literally reminded me of cracking open Christmas nuts with my dad. It was great. It was great. It was amazing, but not nary a one tasted like that after that one particular Remington that I smoked. So, of course, I had to put it in, but I couldn't put it in as number one. And, of course, I had to vote for it because, come on now.
You put it in.
I think I missed my turn. Oh, no. I'm at a new park. Let me turn around.
Shouldn't ask the pulpit and drive.
So, yeah, so there's that. I'm not going to do that again, but no, that was good. Anyway, so, yeah, I'm at a new park, which is good.
Yeah.
Because the last one, though I've been there for almost just short of 10 years, the workplace got a little toxic in the last couple of years, and it was time to go. But so now I'm at this new one. Everybody's supportive. They like what I'm bringing to the park. It's good stuff, man. We are all good in the hood. But let me go ahead and end this thing with the cigar question, I guess.
Okay.
So I have found through all the cigars that I have been smoking, that I really like leathery cigars. And I just bought one that had a huge barnyard to it, like literally horse manure, right? It was in there, like barnyard. And I grew up in that. I shoveled horse manure out of stalls and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, it is a nostalgic smell, but it was very interesting to taste that in a cigar. So my question to you is, good sir, is there a cigar that you would suggest, or many cigars that you would suggest that I try, whose one of the most major notes in that cigar would be leather?
One of the ones with major notes of leather. Let me check something here. Let me check something. I'm gonna see if someone can help me out with that, because I'm going to see if somebody can help me out with that, because, I just, I don't know. I tend to think, a lot of Maduros, specifically Mexican San Andreas wrappers, I think tend to give me, but see, they give me more of an earthy component. Sometimes there's that leathery note. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I know there's been plenty that we've had on the show. See, this is why I need, I always said a millennial, but now I think it's like an alpha or not a beta. I think betas are too little, but alpha or something like that. I need somebody to go back through all my old episodes and make like a spreadsheet of like all the cigars I've smoked on the show and some of the flavor notes and various things that have come out of those cigars because, for the life of me, I know there's been some leathery ones that I have smoked. But anyway, my phone a friend is not getting back to me immediately. Hopefully they do. If they do, I will inquire with them about that question. If they do not, then I will put that question in reserve and I will get back to you, Dakota, because I'm not going to leave you hanging. But I need to confer with the group a little bit. So anyway, we'll move on to the next call here.
Good Monday morning, Nick. This is the not Meatball King, Seth. Anyways, just wanted to call and say my deepest sorries to the all the parishioners out there. I'm sorry I failed you guys on Friday. I would like to say thank you to Mr. Jonathan, Dave Garofalo, Ed Sullivan, and everyone else at Two Guys Smoke Shop for the opportunity to participate, but I, alas, came up well short. Though I did only lose to Jonathan by 1 vote, so I guess there's a silver lining there. Anyway, hope you guys all have a happy and smoky day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Seth, you lost to Mr. Jonathan by 1 vote, but there was only 1 vote for the both of you. He got 4th place with 1 vote. You got none. Anyway, I'm teasing you, Seth. Seriously, man, no fail. I mean, look, would it have been nice for you to beat Mr. Jonathan? Yes, it would have been nice for you to beat Mr. Jonathan. But at the end of the day, you went up and you competed and you took part in the meatball challenge. And while, yes, you did walk away in 5th place out of 5 contestants, you did something that none of the rest of us did. And, I mean, something I wouldn't do. Even if I had the opportunity, I probably wouldn't do it. So for what it's worth, man, you did it, and that's something to be proud of. You put it on the line and you tried. So I give you a lot of credit for that. There's no disappointment in that. So you did well, and you represented us well. I don't know if anybody watched the live stream. I have shared it to the parishioners group. I guess it's still there. But let me tell you, man, Seth rocked a giant Cigar Pulpit shirt. Like, he came in, like, representing all of us. He walked right into the Cigar Authority, set and everything. And, man, he was straight up, like, representing the parishioners. So, for what it's worth, he didn't back down. And, yeah, he didn't get any votes. But he didn't tell me what he did. I was texting him, and he told me that he tried something different and that it didn't work. And, I don't know what he did. I'm curious as to what he did. But I also think that a competition like that is just not the time to be, jacking around. I don't think it's the time to be trying something new. I think you got to stick with what they know. Give them what the people want. Give them that solid, straight up old school, like Mama used to make meatball. And I'm sure Mr. Jonathan made some bizarre meatball. Oh no, I do know what he made. He made Swedish meatballs. So it's like, come the fuck on, man. You're having pasta and garlic bread and everything else, and then you give the people Swedish meatballs. I mean, it's like you're asking to lose. But, yeah, no, Swedish meatballs, not the right answer, not the right call. Mr. Jonathan's roommate, Jeff, ended up winning the competition. I've met Jeff. He's a nice guy. I'm sure he makes a solid meatball based upon the conversation that took place. So that's good, But would have been nice if Seth could have squeaked out 2 votes and just beaten Mr. Jonathan. I mean, my God, I wish he could have beaten Mr. Jonathan, but... Anyway, for what it's worth, it is what it is. It's done. And Seth, despite your placement in the competition, you're a winner amongst the parishioners because you tried, and we respect that. So thank you. Okay, moving on. We got another call here.
Bishop, it's your boy Trey Mac.
Oh, hey.
Aladino out here. I just flew in, just landed from, I was coming from balls cold Cincinnati. That was cool. That was cool. You know, I'm not used to that cold weather anymore. However, I got to say, I did see my first frozen alligator. That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
That was pretty cool. You know, you get forced to see them because they bring their snouts up over the ice. It's crazy. It's crazy. So anyway, man, I had a couple questions for you. Catch up with you. Number one, just checking in. How you doing?
I'm good.
Hope you're doing well. Tell everybody what you're up to. On a side note, what am I up to? I don't know. I that weird Xenu guy is actually, now that everybody knows I'm in Florida, I got a DM, and he wants to quote unquote have me meet him for a intercoastal rendezvous in Clearwater. I don't know what that means, but you know I like a good rendezvous. Which brings me to question number 2. What was your last rendezvous? Tell that story. And then I want to know about your next rendezvous. What's coming up? What kind of rendezvous are you getting into? And last but not least, man, I hope you're getting hard for Pulpit Fest. Get hard, baby. Get hard, stay hard, stay smoky. Later, bro.
With the airplane in the background. Well, hey, thanks, Trey Mac. I appreciate the call. It's nice to hear from you, you know, as you're traveling on the road. I feel special that you were thinking of me. To answer your questions, I'm good. I'm stressed, getting ready to go to Vegas for TPE. Lots to do, very little time to do it. However, recording this episode is, oh God, I think the 4th to last thing on my to-do list. So there's very little left to do actually after recording this. Yeah, so I got this, and then tomorrow I have my deliveries and everything, and then I'll be wheels up and heading to Las Vegas for another TPE. It'll be good. It'll be fun times. And actually on Friday, guys, you'll hear from me and Noah doing our TPE preview. We recorded that in advance, so you know there's that. But yeah, we're gonna have our TPE preview, so we can talk about what we're looking forward to at the show. And as for rendezvous, you know, I don't know exactly what you're referring to. If you're referring to the what I felt like was implied there, I'm not one to kiss and tell. But you know, whatever. As for my next rendezvous, I mean, you know, me and Jerry Pulaski are going to be spending some time together out in Vegas. So, you know, you never know what happens with that guy with Blackberry Brandy. And if he's playing some slots, I mean, they might be shoveling the Blackberry Brandy down his throat. So, good God, the Lord only knows how this is going to go. So, but anyway, yeah, no, that's what's going on. I mean, it's just busy, and looking forward to it. And as for Pulpit Fest, you know, I am indeed looking forward to it. The Brain Trust, we're going to come back together after TPE to start planning and strategizing and putting together everything for that for 2025. For those of you who haven't seen the announcements already or everything, Pulpit Fest 2025 will be August 22nd through the 24th in Palm Coast, Florida at the Ash and Ale. Once again, you know, you're going to, if you missed it last year, you missed it, but you have the opportunity to make up that mistake this year. You know, last year, our man Hank won a trip to the Puro Sabor Cigar Festival in Nicaragua, courtesy of Renee at Villiger. And, you know, he spent last week down there. Like I said in the beginning of the show, we were supposed to talk with him today, or, you know, today in this episode for that, but that'll be coming up in a week or so, you know, where we hear about that. But, you know, that's good. It's one of those things where, you know, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Hank, and he won that at Pulpit Fest. And, guys, you know, show up to Pulpit Fest. You can win cool shit like that there, too. and you're supporting a brick and mortar store in their slow time of year, because in Florida, the summertime is the slow time of year for them. And it is hot. I'll admit it is hot, but it's a good time. It's a good time, and you're going to want to show up. So be watching. What's going to happen is at some point I'm going to make the announcement that tickets are available on Eventbrite, and the minute they go available on there, you're going to want to snap them up, because they are limited due to the space capacity at the Ash and Ale. There is a capacity amount that we have to adhere to, so you're going to want to make sure that when I make the announcement that they're available, that you snap them up, because they do go quickly. So be watching for that. Anyway, thank you, Trey Mack, for taking time out of your day. I appreciate the call. And finally, we have a few calls here. Let's go ahead and we got 2 more calls. So,
please here.
Speak of the devil.
One time, no speak there, Mr. Miller, as it turned out there. I hope all is well. I have not talked to you in some morrows, but anywho, I have been a bit tied up, as it were. I have found myself recently in a sticky situation, as it turns out there. I responded to a Craigslist ad recently.
Is that so?
I was a little down on my luck, money-wise, looking for a couple extra shingles to rub together there, as it were. Anywho, I responded to an ad, and I showed up at said location there, and the ad specified that I wear a blue ski mask there.
Oh, God.
And so I did there. And
I know where this is going.
Behold, I found myself in a room with several other gentlemen there who were, let's just say, rather happy to see me, or as it were, this lady there, and we all started having sex with her there. As it turns out, as once there, apparently this gal here was attempting to set a world record there with 1,000 men's, as it were. Anywho, we got to talking there, and she was a bit wore out, and she wanted an intermission, and she asked me to just follow to take her space there, as it were.
My God.
And, well, let's just say Bonnie Blue, more like Jerry Blue, as it turns out there. And anyway, I've had better days, but the good news is I can now afford a higher class of cigar there, so I have been smoking quite good cigars lately there. So every cloud has a silver lining, as it turns out. Hope all is well with you, and hope everything goes good in Vegas, as it turns out.
Holy shit. So Jerry Pulaski tag teamed in for Bonnie Blue in the record-setting gangbang. Wow, I didn't see that coming. I thought that was going to be him just taking part, but no. He tagged in and took her place for a little while. So then, does that mean that she didn't quite accomplish the record then? If she, I mean, oh my God. Anyway, Jerry, it's always a pleasure to hear from you, man. You live an interesting life. So anyway.
Hey, Nicholas, Noah calling here. And I was thinking, with both of us set to fly out tomorrow,
indeed,
I was wondering, what kind of flyer are you? Like, what do you do on the plane? Do you watch a movie? Do you nap? Are you doing Sudoku? Are you watching a movie or a show, playing on your phone? Mile High Club? What are you doing? And also, aisle or window?
So,
looking forward to your answer.
In terms of Mile High Club, I mean, dude, those bathrooms are too small for me to even consider taking a shit in, much less having sex. So, like, realistically, that's not happening. But in terms of how I am on a plane, I sleep. I mean, I get my neck pillow and I throw in my AirPods and I throw on a podcast or something, and I typically pass out. I fall asleep. It's really, really nice, pardon me. It's been a long day, and I apologize. That is rude, and I'm just making everybody listening to this yawn, and I apologize. So, I fall asleep on the plane. Typically, I will pass out just after takeoff. I like to at least be awake for takeoff. I'll pass out just after takeoff, and then what'll happen is then I will wake up. I might randomly kind of wake up, reposition, go back to sleep. But then in terms of like the big wake up, that tends to happen perfectly for me on most flights about 20 minutes before landing. So just in time for them to be coming around, collecting garbage, things of that nature, everybody kind of getting prepped and ready. Then we land, and I grab my shit and I get off the plane. Typically I miss the drinks. A lot of times I miss the snacks. The snacks have gotten really shitty on flights the last couple of years. I mean, I remember snacks used to be so much better, and now they're really bad. Like, I don't know what these damn, Maui onion and fucking fruit something or other pretzels that Southwest has been giving away are, but holy God, they are not the snack that I prefer. I definitely would have preferred something a bit better. They do have these like little cinnamon cookie or cinnamon graham cookie things that are pretty good, but most of the time you get those stupid onion pretzels, and it's like, they're not in terms of flavor, they're not offensive, but what they're not is they're not awesome. And then what happens is your breath just stinks of Maui onion, until you get that addressed and taken care of. And I'm like, who in the world thought that a Maui onion flavored pretzel would be the best snack for people on a plane? I don't know. They had a little almost like not a trail mix. It was almost like a Chex Mix thing going on for a little while. Pretzel and, Cheez-It and, whatever kind of deal going on for a little while. And they've moved away from those, and I wish they would go back because that was all right. Just general pretzels. I'm fine with just general pretzels. Nobody does peanuts anymore because, by God, we're all apparently allergic to peanuts. I'm not, and it sucks because I like getting peanuts. But anyway, yeah, so no. The snacks on flights are not great. I do tend to go to the airport store because I never think ahead to bring my own snacks with me, and I like having snacks on a plane, be it M&Ms or any sort of various other snacky thing for the flight. I'm going to have to remember to do that tomorrow, actually. I'm going to go buy Walgreens. I'm going to buy myself some snacks. And you know what snacks I'm going to buy? I've been real high on Mike and Ike's lately. Mike and Ike's and Milk Duds. I don't know what it is about those two. I've been real big on the Mike and Ike's and the Milk Duds lately. So I'm going to have to go by and get myself some of those and get myself some airplane snacks so that I can avoid paying an exorbitant amount in the airport and just buy it at Walgreens for like a third of the price. What else did you ask me about? You talked about watching something on the plane. I don't watch anything because like my phone, I can't charge it, and it's like whatever. Aisle or window? I'm not particularly picky. But I would prefer window if bottom line is I don't want anybody in the middle seat. If I can avoid it, I want on a 3-seat row, I want that middle seat empty. And if the middle seat's empty, I'll take the window every time. If the middle seat is not empty, then I can still deal with the window, but I think I prefer the aisle because I'm a little more open. I don't like feeling crunched up like that. But what sucks about the aisle is, I am a man of size. And so what ends up happening is inevitably, in order to be a little comfortable, I put my knee, kind of extend my leg out into the aisle. Or my knee is kind of, out in the aisle ever so slightly. But those aisles are perfectly measured for those fucking drink carts. And so I can count, how many times my knee is going to get slammed into during a flight if I'm on the aisle, because inevitably that's what happens. I just get my knee just bashed repeatedly if I sit on the aisle. So I tend to not sit on the aisle too much if I can avoid it. But I'm not going to do the window unless that middle seat is open. I don't really have a choice sometimes. Thankfully, I do think my flight heading out to Vegas from St. Louis tomorrow is not a full flight. And I'm basing that entirely on the boarding assignment number that I received from Southwest when I checked in. Typically, when I check in, even if I'm checking in right at the time, I'm in the fucking C group because, Southwest and their check-in thing sucks. But for whatever reason, I ended up in the A group this time. So I'm like, all right, there must be nobody on this flight. So apparently a late evening or a mid-evening Tuesday night flight to Vegas from St. Louis must not be a popular one. So that's good. I'm hoping that the return flight is equally as unpopular. But we'll see. We'll see. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for your calls. I really do appreciate it. Dakota, if my phone a friend ends up calling during the rest of the episode, we will get back to your call. Otherwise, I swear I will get an answer for you. And I will let you know some options as soon as I can pull some together. So anyway, that has been this edition of Ask the Pulpit. If you guys want to get your calls and questions into me, you can call the hotline at area code 863-874-0000. Okay. I'm about halfway on this Yagua, and I'm not getting those barnyard components that I'm so used to. They're there, but they're not nearly as prevalent and strong. So I do wonder if maybe the blend has been, adjusted, or maybe the tobacco. I don't know. I can't say. It's still a wonderful cigar. It's smoking wonderfully. I enjoy it, but it's not giving me those same barnyard components that I'm used to. But let's move on. Let's move on to the show. It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by
Villiger.
Villiger Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family-owned and operated. Head over to VilligerCigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation. So first things first, before I get into this, I do want to acknowledge something. So there's been a few times in the show that maybe you hear me struggling to mentally advance my sentence, where I'm like, It's because I've got a lot going on. I've already swapped out the propane tank on my heater once, and then I'm taking a break right now from laying out my newspaper for this week because I'm waiting on a couple articles from one of my reporters, and she had texted me a question, and I had to quickly reply so that she could get working on that article. So anyway, I apologize if I seem a little scatterbrained, but I'm trying to multitask here, do a podcast as well as also run a business, and it's proving to be interesting. But now let's talk entertainment. And I actually have a few things. So first of all, I'm going to talk about Ted Lasso Season 1. I finished Ted Lasso Season 1. And this is going to be my moment that if you haven't seen it, I'm throwing up a spoiler alert because I want to talk about it for a moment. If you haven't seen it and you don't want to know anything, skip ahead a little while. I don't know. I'll try to make sure that you know. But realistically, I don't know how long I'm going to stay. I shouldn't spend too terribly long on this, but long enough that I want to get my point across. But also, it's been out for a while, and I feel like I'm the last person on earth to have watched this. So maybe this is going to be like old news for all of you. But I just recently finished Season 1. I'm looking forward to Season 2. I just haven't had the time. Maybe, I don't know if Apple TV allows me to download episodes to my iPad. But if they do, maybe I'll download some of those and watch those on the plane. But anyway, Ted Lasso Season 1. What a freaking ride. I mean, I did not I'll be honest, going into that last episode when they're going and playing, the big team, the one that they were like, we're never going to beat them, and showing them they were like neck and neck and whatever, and when he finally gets that goal, I'm just like, oh my God, they're going to tie. They're at least going to tie, and that's going to keep them in the Premier League or whatever it is. I'm also learning about soccer and how like you can drop into different leagues and you have to then, re-up into the bigger leagues, and it's interesting. But anyway, I did not anticipate that season ending on a loss. And I did not anticipate that episode ending on a loss, to where then the next season they'd have to go to the sub level league and play in that. And so I think it's interesting that they kind of got you thinking that you're going to see some come from behind win there, and it turns out no, you're just going to see what really should probably happen, and you're going to see these people deal with it. It's nice to see Ted's boss lady, I think her name's Rebecca, kind of coming around, realizing, holy shit, Ted's a good guy, and I need to just go ahead and go along with this. I mean, she's not the villain. She started off as kind of the villain, and she's turned into not the villain. And that was good, especially when Ted schooled her ex-husband at darts in the bar. It was like, come on, man. How can you still be going after Ted when this guy's doing this kind of shit for you? Anyway, I have truly enjoyed watching Ted Lasso. That has been a really good show, and I'm looking forward to the remaining 2 seasons. I'm taking my time with it because it's kind of one of those shows that I'm enjoying so much that I don't want it to end, but I know it obviously has to, and so I'm really not wanting to speed my way through it. So anyway, there's that. Now on to the other things. I saw 2 movies this weekend, and not just movies, quote unquote horror movies. So. I saw them in one order, but I think I'm going to talk about them in the opposite order. So I think I'm going to talk about the second one that I saw first. And so the second one I saw, sorry, I'm keeping the cigar going. Back to Dennis's point, I showed this earlier during a call. I had a little concave thing going on. I got it going back. Now it's equal or even, but I got to keep the cigar going. But anyway, the second movie I saw was The Wolfman, the newest one. And it was all right. Truthfully, very minimal cast. I mean, there were maybe 4, 5, maybe 6 people total in the whole movie. I mean, it was a super minimal cast. And it was a fairly straightforward kind of story. They don't really give you a whole lot of detail. It's just basically, you just kind of throw you in. But you're up on the mountainside in, I think, Oregon. I believe it was Oregon, and you're up there where there's no cell signal, and you're just out in the boonies and whatever, and there's a wolf man coming to get you, and this family goes up there because I'll just whatever, no super spoilers, but so there's the guy and his wife and his daughter, and the guy's dad lives up in the mountains, and so his dad dies, so he has to go up to the house and clear out all the stuff. Well, he goes up there, and as they're on their way there, they are attacked by the wolf man, and then they get to the house, and they got to fend off the wolf man. But in the process, of course, the guy in the family gets scratched, and so that's the beginning of the transformation into the wolf man. And so you got that going on. So basically, before it all is said and done, the wife and the daughter are left to try and fend off the wolf man, and therein lies the problem. I don't know. So the wife is played by Julia Garner. I had to look her up. I've seen her before in things, but I didn't recognize her. She's in Ozark. She's going to be in the new Fantastic Four movie, which kind of scares me because she was not good in this. And then I don't know. I watched The Americans. It was probably about this time last year, I guess I was watching that. And she was the daughter of like a State Department or CIA guy that the dad in The Americans was trying to seduce so he could get information, from the dad, kind of a deal. But anyway, long story short, she's been in stuff, but this is probably one of her major roles. She was horrible. I mean, utterly and completely horrible. When you're watching this, and I'll get to that in a minute. You're watching this, and she is showing no emotion. Like, she's horrible at showing emotion. There is horrific stuff going on. Her husband is turning into a creature, and she's having to fight him and defend her daughter and everything. There's just she's not showing much terror. At one point she tells her husband when he's dying that she loves him, and like that was the most forced bullshit thing I've ever. I mean, she was so flat. It was like she was bored making the movie, and so I thought she was the worst part of the whole movie. And yet she turns out to be like the protagonist. Before it's all said and done. Now, there were a few good parts to the movie. They did kind of give you this really interesting perspective where they showed you the world through the eyes of the Wolfman. And that was neat because what they kind of convey in that is that when you become the Wolfman, your brain no longer processes English and you're not, hearing what they're saying and you're kind of seeing them in a different way. And so that's why, like, there becomes this disconnect where he can't, he's kind of hunting them. And so, like, there were some cool parts. There were aspects of it that were neat. They also took some liberties on the whole Wolfman mythology, the whole, only silver can kill the Wolfman and this and that and whatever. They made it very basic. Basically, it was a body horror movie. Plain and simple, it was a body horror movie where it's like, oh, look at this dude's body twisting and breaking and conforming and turning into an animal. That's the thing. It was a gross out schlock fest. It was a body horror movie, and so it was okay. I struggle to say I recommend it. Now, the one I did enjoy was called The Presence or Presence. And it's a ghost story. It's a ghost in the house, story. And it's fairly obvious they filmed this thing with a drone because you're seeing the whole movie through the eyes of the ghost, which I thought was fucking brilliant. I mean, I didn't know that going into it, but it became quickly apparent that that's how this was going to go. And so you're seeing this movie through the eyes of the ghost. And this family moves into this house, gorgeous house, by the way. And you can tell that you're watching the family move in through the eyes of the ghost. And So the whole movie is shot from the ghost perspective. And it's obvious they did this using a drone because it's zooming through hallways and downstairs and around corners and peeking in and doing this and that and whatever. And so it was a very, very interestingly shot movie. Character-wise, the son and the mom are just they're horrible people. The dad, I felt really bad for him. And the daughter, obviously, there was a lot going on there. I don't want to ruin that movie. That movie was really good. I actually really did enjoy that. It is not scary. I would say that it is not a horror movie. I would say that it is more of a suspenseful thriller kind of movie with a ghost element to it, which is what people are going to say, oh, it's a horror movie. It's got a ghost. Okay, fine, whatever. But like in the reality of things, it was not a scary movie. I am horrible at scary movies. I'm very jumpy, and so I don't like spooky stuff. And so I didn't jump at any point during the presence. But I thought it was a really compelling story and really interesting. It had a nice, good twist at the end and everything else. So, like, guys, for what it's worth, if you're interested in a pretty cool ghost story, I thought the presence was really neat. Now, there were a few parts in that movie that, due to my experiences at the duplex, I thought were a little scary, only because of my own thing. Like, for example, at one point, the ghost is kind of like standing next to the bed, looking at the daughter and like watching the daughter as she sleeps. And she wakes up, and she can obviously tell that somebody's like standing there looking at her because she's like looking in that general area, and she gets up and starts walking, and the ghost like retreats back and whatever else. I've told you before how when I was living in the duplex, I felt many, many times I would wake up in the middle of the night, and I would feel that somebody's standing in the room watching me as I sleep, that kind of thing. So I get that. That one... that definitely struck a chord with me, and I remember that, and that was unsettling. But in terms of like jump scare, like something that made me like, whatever, it didn't have that. But I enjoyed The Presence. I thought that was a good movie. Wolfman, not so much. So anyway, there is your Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report. Now let's go ahead and do this. It's time to fly high with Blackbird Cigars. Blackbird Cigars offers you remarkable quality using the most delicate and finest tobacco to always ensure that you're receiving unsurpassed cigars. Blackbird Cigars strives to give you undoubted repeating flavor for every cigar you smoke and impressive quality so that you can always expect greatness. Check out their website for a full list of stores carrying Blackbird Cigars and give them a test flight. Blackbird Cigars can't clip our wings. All right, guys, and now today we are going to learn about Martine Wright. So back in 2005, Martine lost both of her legs in the July 7th terrorist attack at Aldgate Tube Station. She started taking part in wheelchair basketball games as part of her rehab before switching to sitting volleyball. She made her debut as a Paralympian in 2010 and hopes to become an ambassador for disabled sports. When asked about the secret of her success, she said, "What I realized from a very early stage is that so many people out there are worse off than me." So guys, be like Martine Wright and Blackbird Cigars and don't let anybody clip your wings. I just, I think that's cool that you can take a disability and end up not only, kind of embracing it. Obviously she's not happy about it, but at the same time, she embraced, her situation and went on and is doing great things. So that's awesome, and we wish her well. So anyway, now let's go ahead and do this.
Guess what, motherfucker?
It's time for 3 cigars we smoked and enjoyed this week. And my first one is one that I smoked. I recently had a little bit of time, and I went over to the cigar shop about 3 minutes away from me. And as I've told on the show before, Selection-wise, it's a little limited. They're all in for Drew Estate because, you know, they had to get that Liga Privada on the wall, and so you got to have like 40-something facings in order to be able to get that, so whatever. But that means that they had the Herrera Esteli Habano, the white label Herrera Esteli, and I love that cigar. And I sat there the other day and took my sweet time smoking that thing. I got probably at least 2 hours out of it. And, you know, there were a couple of us in the lounge and just hanging out, and it was a good time. You know, I'll tell a story. So there is a guy that keeps coming to the lounge, and admittedly, it's his lounge. I'm the one that's the newbie going there. And so, you know, I'm being polite and everything. This guy that goes to the lounge, he is a judge in my local area. And admittedly, he has been, you know, pleasant. We don't really talk. I have seen him at a couple other cigar shops, and he at least will say, you know, the first time I saw him at one, I introduced myself, and he goes, "Oh, I know who you are," and, you know, whatever. And then the second time, he did say hello. Since then, every time I see him at this shop, we just kind of don't speak to one another and, you know, whatever. But I did. The reason that I bring all this up is so this is kind of one of those little tales of owning a newspaper, a local newspaper, is that in 2018, I wrote an editorial, a very long editorial, detailed editorial, talking about why voters should vote no on retention for him. So the way it works for judges in my area is you're voted into the position, and then every, I think, 4 years, 6 years, something like that, I can't remember exactly how long, you have to run for what's called retention, and that's where you have to get X amount of the vote basically saying, yeah, he's doing a good job, he can stay. And if they get that percentage, which is not hard to do, they stay, and they basically serve another term. Because of the way the system is set up, these judges can essentially stay in their position for as long as they want. Because, again, like I said, it is not hard for them to get voted in on retention. Because a blank vote counts as a yes vote. I think they have to have like 60% no in order for it to kick them out. So realistically, it is super, super difficult to do it. But, you know, there was some, there was enough going on at the time. We had a situation where a guy had been let out on bond, and he was accused of killing a kid. And the judge that allowed for that to happen, and then this guy, he's the chief judge, they were both up for retention. And so basically I wrote an article talking about how, you know, I think it's time for a change in the courthouse, and we need to go ahead and have a little bit of a clean sweep, and let's get rid of both of these judges and get some new blood in there, and maybe we won't have child killers getting let free. Well, the voters voted, and they disagreed with me, and so that's fine. But the judge, he remained, and sorry, I'm swapping out propane again, and this one does not want to screw on. I don't know what is going on here. Anyway, so yeah, it's awkward bumping into him there, but you know, whatever. Someone was sitting in his chair, so that was kind of funny. He had to pick a different chair. He's one of those guys that he's got his chair, and you know, whatever. But anyway, the long story short, I got to smoke the Herrera Esteli Habano, and I was a happy guy. And you know, that was my first cigar that I smoked and enjoyed this week. My second cigar that I smoked and enjoyed this week, I have to bring my phone back up because it went to sleep, was the Charter Oak Habano. I smoked that the other day. I was out running some errands. I was out buying pants. I needed some new pants for TPE, and I was out buying pants, and so I had to make a bit of a drive. To go to a mall that's about 45 minutes north of me, in order to find these pants that I wanted. And so I had a little bit of a time for the drive, so I fired up a Charter Oak Habano, and it's one of my road sticks, and I enjoyed it, and it was a good time. And I got to the mall, and I got the pants, and then from there I went to a restaurant that probably the vast majority of you guys are not even going to know. But the few of you that do know of it, you might think I'm nuts for giving a shit about this thing. But I went to a place called Olga's Kitchen. Now, if you Google this, you can see it. Olga's Kitchen basically makes gyros. And we used to have one in the mall near me, and it was there. Oh, my God. It was probably there before I was born, and it only closed in the last, 10 to 15 years, I guess, maybe. Oh, my gosh! And with us on the phone, we have Mr. Jonathan. How you doing?
Dick, how are you?
Doing good. So, we had a caller call in with a question. He likes the flavor note of leather in his cigars. And I'm like, off the top of my head, I'm struggling coming up with a few. Do you know of any cigars that have that flavor note of leather that he should try? I'm sorry?
Padron and any Aganorsa product with a Mexican San Andreas wrapper.
Okay.
Like JFR Lunatic. Their Maduro has a leather component. All Padrones in the Maduro have that leathery kind of flavor to them. And then you have HVC Maduro in the selection number 1 in the green box. That has a leather component.
All right, perfect. I told him Mexican San Andreas, but on the flip side, I tend to always get kind of an earthy component from that one sometimes too.
Well, earthy and leather can be conflated sometimes.
Okay.
Flavor-wise, so you can be tasting the same thing.
Okay. Well, see, perfect. This worked out well. I knew that I could get an answer from you. And by the way,
I'm actually reporting from my super soft birthday party.
Oh,
you may know from the Cigar Authority, my actual birthday is on Friday, but my roommate Jeff, who is the champion of this year's meatball competition,
I was gonna congratulate you on beating Seth by 1 vote, even though technically between the two of you, you only got one vote.
Don't start with that technical bullshit. A win is a win, you piece of shit.
2 people, 1 vote. It's almost like 2 girls, 1 cup. It was just
honestly,
as shitty.
I found out the guy that voted for me literally eats SpaghettiOs with meatballs out of a can without heating them up. He drinks it like a coffee.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you when I had you on? I think we talked about it on the show, right? How you need to strain the SpaghettiO meatballs and make one giant meatball out of the spaghetti.
Nick,
did I not say that?
That would netted me the same fucking vote.
I'm just saying the same guy is the one who voted for you.
All right, fine. Do I just have to say you're right and then move on?
I'm so amused right now. Anyway. So your super soft birthday party is going?
I'm having a super soft birthday party. It's the 2nd year in a row.
Okay.
And Jeff, actually, we did it last year on the 28th, and he thought that the 28th was my birthday. Well, today's the 27th. Last year was the 28th.
I mean,
So he has no idea about the date. But anyways, that's all I have for you. Super soft birthday parties continuing.
Okay.
You're now speaking with Drunk Jonathan, and Drunk Jonathan signing off.
All right. Thank you for the input.
All right.
Talk to you. All right. Well, there you go, buddy. There you go, Dakota. You got Padrones. You got anything with the Maduro. the Mexican San Andreas wrapper from Aganorsa leaf, so like the JFR and various things like that. And then he mentioned an HVC as well. So got a couple of suggestions there, all available from 2guyscigars.com. That's the number 2, guyscigars.com. Anyway, what was I talking about? Olga's Kitchen. So yeah, so they got the gyros and they got this orange cream drink. It's almost like a shake, but it's not quite like a shake. It's shake-like, but it's like a dreamsicle shake. And oh fuck, it's good. And so anyway, I found out that the mall that I was going to for these pants still had an Olga's Kitchen. It's like the only one in the entire area. And by God, I had me some Olga's Kitchen, and it was good. It was very tasty. It was a good time. So all that goes along with the Charter Oak Cabano. The last one that I had was one I actually smoked on the way back from that mall, and that would be the McAuliffe Black Toro. I smoked that on my drive back, and that one, the reason that I'm bringing that one up, you know, I enjoy the cigar. It's a good cigar. That one, it was just super relaxing. It was Sunday evening, evening. I'm driving home. The sun is coming down in the west. You know, you get the pretty colors in the sky. It was a gorgeous day. And I was just able to take a nice, at this point, relaxing, because I'd gotten my pants. I had a full belly of Olga's, and I was just able to take a nice, relaxing drive on the highway home and just, you know, just kind of chill out and relax and have that. And it hit. Just the whole situation just hit perfectly. So it was a good time. I enjoyed it. So the McAuliffe Black Toro was the cigar for that moment. Anyway, well, let's talk about the socials for a moment. So I am available on Instagram at the Cigar Pulpit. I'm on Facebook, where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group. You can get in on the fun there. I'm on Twitter/X. You can watch this on Rumble. If you don't have Rumble, it's basically just like YouTube. Go over there, make an account, subscribe, because at some point I'm going to be off Rumble YouTube, because at some point YouTube's going to kick me off because they don't like cigar content. But for right now, I am on YouTube, so you can go there and you can follow me if you want to watch this. And then for those of you who use Spotify, we do have Spotify video. Just a little update, little thing to throw out in the universe. The episode coming up on Friday with Noah. That one may or may not hit Spotify video. If it does, it'll be probably later in the day on Saturday when it does. I'm not taking my laptop with me to Vegas. I don't need to. And uploading the videos to Spotify on my phone seems like a daunting task, but perhaps not impossible, but we will see. I'm going to try, but if you know, Friday morning you wake up and all that's available on Spotify is the audio version, if you really want to watch it, just wait until, like, you know, end of day Saturday, and it'll be up when I get back. But anyway, there's that. And then obviously, once again, I'm going to bring it up. Ask the Pulpit. If you want to get your calls and questions in, give us a ring. Area code 863-874-0000, and I will answer your questions to the best of my ability, and I have people that I can call if I do not know the answer. And that's how that works. So anyway, I am thoroughly enjoying my Yagua here. I'm looking forward to the end of it here. And I'm now on my third can of propane. I have all these little 1 pound cans, and I get them at Target. You know, they're you know, a little twin pack, 2 for $10, and so I just go through those. And a couple of times I've been out here, and I knew that I had a partial can still left on the Mr. Buddy or the Mr. Heater, and so I swapped out for a full one, but I kept the partials. So what I've been doing tonight is just burning through the parcels. And I'm thinking that this third one is probably going to go on me at some point. But anyway, so that's been working out well. I've been enjoying the little heater. It's worked out really well. I think maybe for next year, I'm hoping I'm past the worst of the cold. I'm hoping that we've kind of turned the corner. and it's not going to be quite as just stupid cold as it's been. And so if that's the case, this little heater is going to do me just fine for the rest of the winter. If it does flip and we do go back into stupid cold temperatures, I may have to consider a second one of these heaters for future usage, because this side is very warm. This side is a little cooler, obviously, and so it'd be nice to have, one on each side, or a bigger one. This one is obviously the little one, but it's done me right. I think in my ice tent this would have been perfect, but in this garage it's just a little bit more space to heat. But whatever. I'm making it work. I'm making it work. I didn't have to set up the tent this year, and that's a win in my book. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for taking time out. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for calling the show and leaving me messages so that I have the ability to do a show. And otherwise, I am heading to Las Vegas for TPE. Friday, you will hear from me and Noah talking about what we are looking forward to out in Vegas. And then a week from Tuesday, you will hear the TPE recap, where I have interviews with everybody and all that fun stuff and whatnot. And then from there, it's going to be one of two things. Either I'm going to circle back with Noah and we're going to have a conversation about all the wackiness that ensued that we didn't talk about in the episode where we actually have interviews and that sort of thing, playing it straight. Or I'm going to have Hank on to talk about Puro Sabor. One or the other. And, whichever one comes Friday, the opposite one will come the following Tuesday. So that's what you have coming up. So anyway, that's what I got on the agenda. So, guys, thank you so much. Take it easy. This has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Nick. Stay safe and stay smoky. And Noah, I will see you at the Monte Cristo Cigar Bar tomorrow night.